Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, man, this is a treat to me. I don't know how to say this without y'all thinking that the brother is paying me to say this. Um, I've known the brother for years. I love him. I respect him. He's dangerous. He's humble. He's a businessman. He's an entrepreneur. On your page, it says, before I introduce your name, brother, it says, money don't make you real. Being real can't be purchased. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Shameek Hargrove. How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing fine, my brother. How things going with you, man? Good to see you.
Man, good to see you. I love the white on you. Looks good. Looks good. So what does that mean to you? Money don't make you real. Being real can't be purchased. What does that mean to Shameek Hargrove?
Well, a lot of cats run around here. They think 'cause they got money, you run around talking about, I'm the realest cat, and they think 'cause they got money it means something. Man, cat that's real, brother, is somebody who will put in when you put in work when you need it. You know what I'm saying? They'll be
Right.
behind you when the things is down. You know what I mean?
Right.
When times is really tough, you got a friend. A classic example. I just had a friend last week. Right, he got a motorcycle accident. My friend I grew up with in New York, named Bakim. We grew up together doing our dirt back when we was young. And he had a motorcycle club. He drives those Can-Ams. And
Okay.
one of the Fast and Furious dudes hit him. Crushed his both of his legs, broke his hip,
Damn.
broke his back, and he got titanium hip, titanium legs, titanium arm. I mean, was in a coma for like 6 months. You're black belt too, man. But like I said, we grew up, like serious. And he called me up and said, yo, I said, I called him checking on, when he's in the hospital, me and my family. So he happened to call me and say, yo, peace, brother, how you doing? I said, yo, how things going, family? He said, man, he said, listen, I got a little problem. When he did his time in jail, while he's in jail, how knuckleheads want to go in there, lift weights and be assholes. While he was in jail, his mother sent him books on how to buy real estate with no money down.
Okay.
Or put him, very wealthy, put him very comfortable. Let's say that way.
Okay.
And so he called me like this 2 weeks ago, and he said, "Yo, man, I said, how you doing, man? How you feeling? You getting a lot of basic, man. I got a little problem." I said, well, "What's the problem?" He said, "Well, I had this dude been living in my place for 3 months. He ain't paid no money since I went down. I called him, so I called him. He told me, he said, yo, man, don't you got 2 broken legs? Got 2 broken hips? Can't you can't walk, right?" He said, "Well, I ain't giving you shit." I said, "All right, well, say no more, bro. I'll be there." So when they spoke to me, that was on a Monday. I said I'll be there on the weekend. So he called me again Wednesday. "Yo, man, you gonna come?" I said, "Yo, bye. Whenever you ever heard me tell you I'm gonna be somewhere, I don't." You understand what I'm saying? He said, "Yo, say no more." So that's that Friday. I came down there, and I came down there. And he's in Richmond, so like I said, he's in a wheelchair now because he's still trying to recuperate. They think it's gonna be about 2 or 3 more years before he can even walk, if he can walk. You know what I mean? He can stand. So I got there. Him and his wife, he took me went to dinner. I said, "All right, we're gonna get some rest." And I said, "So, I said, brother, so you ain't gotta tell me what the brother did or nothing. He told me what he said. That's all that matters."
Wow.
So the next morning, we woke up. I put him in his wheelchair, put him in his car. And his wife came. I said, "All right, well, show me where he live at." He's in his house. So I
Oh,
knocked on the brother.
wow.
So I knocked on the brother's door, and I said, "Yo, my man, this is Bakim's brother, which he's my good friend." He said, "Yeah." He get. I said, "Yo, I'm gonna give you 3 seconds to come out the house. If I keep the door, when I come in, you're gonna get dragged out." I said, "Now, if I have to come in blazing my gun, it's gonna be a whole different ball game." That's how serious it was. You know what I mean? You've been serious with somebody. You know what I mean? You've been
Right, right, right,
thick and thin with somebody. Certain people, you're gonna go all the way with. You know what I mean?
right,
And so at this point, his wife said, "Damn, I ain't never seen nobody react like that." So the
right.
brother finally came out. So I said, "Yeah, let's go to the front." So big brother. I didn't know he was that big, but my man knew. But that don't matter. You know what I mean? When you're serious, you know what I mean?
Right.
So when I came out, he was like, "Yo, I'm not gonna walk behind." So I grabbed by the back of the neck. I said, "Get your ass outside." You know what I'm saying? I brought him outside. I said, "Now say what you just said to my man when I wasn't here." He said, "Oh no, nah, man. I said I was gonna pay you, man. All this other nonsense." So make a long story short, when I left, my man called me and said, "Yo, man, thank you so much." Brother came back and gave me the 3 months, and what I'm saying, everything. But that's because somebody who's real, brother, ain't got to do no talking or none of that, man. You know what I'm saying? You do your business, handle your business like it's supposed to be handled. But that's how everybody I grew up with. That's how we are. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's the type of relationship we had. That's I grew up with. It was no talking. It was time to handle BI. You handle your business. You know what I mean? And people's their word meant something. You know what I
Right.
mean? Now people's word is like it's on a wire. I mean, integrity always meant something. Somebody who's real. A lot of people don't have that integrity no more. They tell you they're gonna do something, you don't see them. They give you all kind of excuses. You know, like you know how we was when we say we're gonna be at a certain time, we be there. Like Malcolm X say he wants to wear 2 watches because he's going to be on time, not after the fact. But if you say you're gonna be there at 4 o'clock, you need to be there at 4 o'clock. I can know cats growing up in Brooklyn. Cat come 2 minutes later, brother already dead. You know what I mean? So that don't wash for people like me. You know what I mean? So that's why I say when I say that. You know.
Wow,
So
brother.
I don't want to keep it long. You don't make that story long, but that's how serious it is. You know what I mean? Just being your word got to mean something.
You told me before. You said you first started studying the arts, and then you went into the streets, and you had to adapt. Can you tell us about that? So street fighting and the classes are different. Could you share that?
Yeah. Well, I grew up with I come from a martial art family. My oldest brother studied under a guy named Sun Duck Sun. Sun Duck Sun is the one who named Taekwondo.
Wow.
And my oldest brother's a fifth dan under him. My brother-in-law is a fifth dan under a guy named Henry Cho up in New York, another famous Taekwondo guy. My other older brother studied a guy named George Kofa and Tom LaPucca, the Shotokan, famous Shotokan guys. All of them taught me. My father did jiu-jitsu, and he also, I found out recently when I was in California, when I was in college, that he also was like a boxer 8 years in a row in the Marine Corps, Navy and all that. 8 years in a row, he held that title. I didn't know that. My father never let me know he boxed because my brothers learned martial arts, and they taught us. So his whole thing was, he taught my oldest brother how to box, and my brother was like, he had a big reputation back in Philadelphia, which every time we would travel, my mother, people knew him, say, yo, George, your brother? Oh yeah, he was one man. He was one of great. He ran some gang called TNT back in the 60s and before my time, back in the 60s and stuff like that. He was like the war chief of the TNT, this gang called the TNT in Philadelphia. And so I happened to ask my brother when I was down there when he was alive, Rick, I said, everybody always told me that you could box and stuff. I said, who taught you how to box? He said, yo, Dad told me how to box. I said, Dad, because I told him a story. I said, yo, after I started boxing, my father had cancer and everything. He never let me know he boxed. He came to see a couple of my boxing matches. And he told me, he said, yo, man, that's not the right style for you. And the brother who was teaching me was the captain of FOI in New York City named Gaddafi. And you see on my link, Ronald Stewart, he started teaching me how to box. He was a pro boxer too. He said, that's not the right style for you. So I'm like, yo, what you mean? He said, I'm gonna come down. He said, come down to your gym. And so I gave my pops a dress. He came down there, and when he left, everybody who was in there, all the coaches saying, yo, the pops was great with boxing, man. So, I still didn't take it like, my pops don't know how to, box. It didn't go on me. So one day I happened to be on a boardwalk. I went jogging. My pops said, all right, I'm gonna meet you on the boardwalk. So I would run the whole entire boardwalk, which was 4.5 miles. So 4.5 miles one way, 4 coming back. So I'd jog, come back. So he was there waiting for me this time. He had gloves. He said, come on, we're going to box. And I could not touch my pops. This is when he had cancer, was old.
Wow.
He was slipping in. I was doing what's called a Philly shell, which I didn't know what the Philly shell was. Yeah, Floyd Mayweather talking about that now, And so he started teaching me about the Philly shell. This was back in like the 80s, early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, the early 80s and stuff. Or the 70s, like 78, 79. And at this time, I was already a black belt in Taekwondo and stuff like that. But I'm going to tell you how I went from street fighting, understanding the difference. I happened to get in a fight with Mark Breland over a girl. Mark Breland, I went in karate tournaments like crazy. I played karate crap, I won't call it crap, but it has its reasons for it. But so I happened to get in a fight with him over a chick. I was, while having a chick baby from me, he was messing with first, and he just ate me up. I give him the props. Like I give it to him. He beat me, and so the next day I went to a guy who was teaching me Wing Chun at the time. He was also a black belt in the style I was studying at the same time with William Oliver and Shihan Nakamura called Kukshинkai. They changed it later on to Sado karate. And he said, yo, man, I kept telling you, man, you're a good tournament fighter, but you're not a good street fighter.
Wow.
And so I said, what the hell you mean? He said, yo, it's a difference, man. So he made me go take boxing. And that's when the brother Gaddafi started teaching me. But from those transitions, I learned the difference between, action like karate, take this long step and all that. Boxing is different, and I just started combining the two. And then a lot of my friends that was going in and out of jail. So one of my friends' name was Born Truth. His sisters boyfriend she was engaged to at the time. Name was Tojo. He was a famous fighter in Brownsville, and he learned he had somebody who was related to the guy Mother did. I don't know if you ever heard of dude Mother did. The 52 slap, the 40, all that.
Oh,
so
wow.
He taught my man Born Truth. Tojo taught Born Truth 52. So Born Truth wanted to learn how to kick. You know what I mean? So we were going on a boardwalk and interchange technique. I'll show him a couple of kicks. You teach me the 44 block style. Then a couple of other brothers who was doing time coming home, they taught me the 44 block style, the 44 block style, and the 52 hand slap. So I combined all that with my karate.
Oh, so there's a difference between the 42 and the 52. You just educated me. Okay, gotcha.
So what?
Oh, there was a big difference between the 40. What's the difference between those two styles? Okay.
The 44 block style, and the 52 hand slap. It's two different styles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen the 52 became famous in Raleigh by New York years ago. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. But there's one called the 44 that's even a counter to that. You know what I mean?
Really?
But the ones who was really thorough and was really tight had that. You know what I mean? And they taught me that, so I had that. But then in the same time, while I was living in Coney Island, there was a Master Moses Powell living in the neighborhood.
Man, preach.
So I went and seen him I think it was like 77 or 78. My father took me to Oriental World of Self-Defense, so I seen him. I kept saying that. He said, if you ever get a chance, go train with him. So I was messing with a couple of girls in Coney Island. One of them said, yeah, we got this Master live. I mean, you've been doing crime, but this is Master live right next to us. His name is Moses Powell. And I said, who? And she told me, I said, live right next to you. So when she told me that, I ran down to his house. Knocked on his door. I was young at the time, you know. So I didn't have no job at the time. So I asked him to, he started teaching me how to roll and fall and little intricate things like locks and different ways to move. So I would train with him. I kept saying, yo, let me come down to your school. He's like, no, just meet me at the house. So only train me at the house, you know what I mean? So I would train with him privately at his house. He would give me little jewels. At the time, like I said, I was boxing. Then I was training with my brothers, going up to Avenue of America, training with Shihan Nakamura and William Oliver. But even before that, before we moved here, I was training. I don't know if you ever seen the S1Ws.
Did I? Man, that was my
yeah. Well, if you ever seen the S1W, they do a style called Kasugan karate. You know, we lived in Long Island before my mother and father got cancer. We lived in Long Island, so I would train with Professor Griff, not Professor Griff, his older brother and his family, Gene Vereen, DeJuan Chaplin, all of them. Who was Eddie Murphy?
How do you remember all those names, man? We getting up in age. How you remember all those names? I'm terrible.
They all martial arts. Martial arts. We constantly contact. We talk all the time. You know what I mean? So they want. I wound up training with them because they was my next door neighbor. You know what I mean? Eddie Murphy and all of them. So we all trained.
Wait. What Eddie Murphy?
Eddie Murphy, the entertainer.
Oh, he's dangerous.
Yeah, well, Eddie, my man taught him. He's a black belt. Him and Charlie Murphy is a black belt, and one of my close friends, DeJuan Chaplin.
Okay.
Yeah. Black belt in Kasugan.
Okay.
You know? So that's before I actually moved to Coney Island. So by the time I got to Coney Island, I was already a martial artist. Like I said, my two brothers, what my father was teaching me. And like I said, then I wound up taking the boxing. I wanted to learn from some of the guards I was with me, the 52 hand slap, the 44 block style. But I was always a learner. So like I said, I had a security guard in my building that did Wing. She was a black belt in Kung Shinkai. There's also a C4 Kung in Wing Chun. So he started showing me a little Wing Chun. So I just started combining all the style. The more I would fight in the streets, I would start combining. Okay, man, this works a little better. And started manipulating a lot of the techniques that I learned. Alaikum, brother Kev.
Alaikum salam, God.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, before we go any further, let me please introduce our brother Azar Muhammad, man. The last few nights he and I've been rolling. He don't even know he don't even realize how gifted he is, Shameek. He gives me credit, but listen, I feel naked without him on the podcast because he is what we say in Arabic, the hawk. I mean, there is only one hawk, but he comes in with the truth, brother. He does the coolest. So good to see you, brother. Thank you for being a part of this. And we got a million questions for our brother, don't we?
Oh, yes, sir.
Shameek, and we're going to make Shameek tap out tonight. He's going to be like, I got to get off this thing. Shameek, let me go into the legendary. I'm going to just name 3 names to you, but I'd like to start with Sensei V, Ed Parker, and if you could please first go with the late, great Grandmaster Moses Powell. Okay. It's my understanding, you trained with all 3 of those gentlemen.
Well, what I did was like I said, Dr. Powell lived in my neighborhood. So I would go down to his house. He lived in a townhouse down in my neighborhood. So I would go train with him. That's how I started training. Then, when I moved down here, actually, I would go train with him up in Vermont.
Wow.
And so I got a chance to train with him. But my jiu-jitsu background really come from my father. Then when I went away to college in California, I started training with Professor Wally Jay.
Oh,
So
Wally Jay, not Sensei V. I'm sorry, Wally
no,
Jay.
Professor Wally Jay, not Professor Wally Jay. Yeah, he was teaching at my college. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And so I started training with him. Then, like I said, I was also my oldest brother had moved down to California. So we had some famous. I don't know if you've heard of. I don't know if you ever heard of a master by the name of Byung Yu. He was a very famous. He got schools actually out here. Taekwondo master from the West Coast named Byung Yu. Well, his top 4 students are all black. August O'Neill, Percy Woods, Sensei Lacrease, some other ones I can't remember, but his top students was, so all of them took me under their wing when I was in California.
Wow.
And so I had all of them took me under their wing. So I just had great fighters all my life take me under their wing and give me jewels, because I guess they seen that I had natural fighting ability in me. You know what I mean? So all of them took me under the wing and gave me jewels. You know what I mean? And one thing about me, every time I learned something, I would make sure I stayed on top of it, kept it in the repertoire, and just continued to practice. Now I had a small introduction with Ed Parker because we would fight in international. But I don't know if you ever see on my patch, I got BKF on it. That's from Grandmaster Steve Muhammad, who's a member of the Nation of Islam.
Wow, Steve Muhammad was him. Yeah, Steve Muhammad. He was out in California.
Yeah, he's Steve Sanders. Now Steve Muhammad. Yeah.
Wow.
He'll give me little tips and views on mine. But I have one of his students. What's his name? Damn. He just hit me on Facebook. Matter of fact, about 20 minutes ago. I can't think of his name right now at the top of my head. But was one of his top black belts. Okay. And so me and him trained for about 4 or 5 years. One of Ed Parker's proteges. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's really what perfected my Kempo. You know what I mean? And so what I did was basically combine all my styles that I had. I tried to keep them all intact, but I made them all fit as far as the street version, because I seen street fighting was a little different from basic tournament fighting and that organized type of fighting. Street fighter guy stab you now, he'll sneak you real quick, you know what I mean, and things of that nature. So I made sure I would do that. I adapted a lot of my street techniques in that, because all the guys I was running with were street fighters, and that's how thorough the brothers I ran with was, you know what I mean? But we all grew up together, all straight up warriors, you know what I mean? And so behind all of that, man, like I said, we would go up in the building and just, get busy, basically, you know what I mean? And actually, I don't know, you've heard of Tut, Giant C and all of them. That we Tut and Giant C, the one who shot Tupac. Well, these was my close friends, and I gotta be honest with you, know what I mean?
Wow.
And but all of us would go up in the hallway and get busy and spar and stuff like that. But the good thing about me and my brothers was all martial artists, so we had the boxing and everything else. So I would get their little jewels, but we would go back home and actually train with it. I mean, like before my father and mother got sick, my father died of cancer, my mother died of Parkinson's disease. We lived in Long Island. We had a nice little basement. We would actually go in there and really get it in. You know what I mean? Really train hard. So those are some of the things we did, man. That's some of the things that really help hone my fighting skills. And the thing about me, like I said, you can study martial arts or you could be a martial artist, and there's 2 different things. One who studies martial, he'll get his black belt and you'll never see him in the dojo again. You know what I mean? Person who studies martial arts, he's constantly learning. Like I study the Filipino arts now. I've been studying the Kali and Valintiwak, which is knife fighting and stick fighting. And I studied African deathlocks from an African brother I met down here, and that's a choking and strangulation art. And so I constantly look around for other stuff I can study and things I can add to my repertoire that I can pass on, because the object is to pass it on to people who's willing to take it and willing to accept it. Don't get complacent thinking you know it all. Person who think you know it all really is I consider stagnant. You know what I mean? Because now it's so infinite. There's so much stuff out here in the world you wouldn't believe. I knew brothers Matter of fact, I'll tell you, I seen a fight one time. It's no joke, but matter of fact, the dude mother did, and the guy named El Shabash Shabash fighting. El Shabash Shabash was a black belt. Mother did was a gay homo, but he was nice with the 52 hand slap. These cats battled, and you would think they both think Mother dear was a master martial artist. He dropped into his knees while El Shabash kicking at him, dropping his knee on his foot. You know what I mean? Coming up, hitting him in the kneecaps with his elbows. Coming up. I mean, they get busy. You know what I mean? And it was a serious battle. You know. So you know, it's so much stuff out here. You think, oh yeah, I'm a black belt taekwondo. I don't need nothing else. All right, you'll find when you run into somebody know a little something different. You know, then people, when jiu-jitsu first came out, started becoming popular, people thought, oh man, you gotta learn grappling. Now you see grapplers getting knocked out because guys are good with their hands. It's because what you don't know makes you vulnerable for something that somebody do know. You know what I mean?
Right.
So those are some of the things that you'll learn in real life, and you learn and you start applying in the street. Because you get in a fight with somebody who's a good wrestler, gonna try to take you down. So you better have some grappling skills. Standing up, you better have some hand skills. You know. And I always tell my students, man, you want to be a three-dimensional fighter. You want to know how to kick to keep them at range. You close that gap, you want to be able to punch. Close that range, you want to be able to use your elbows. And then you go to the grab. If he grabs, you want to be able to throw him. And if he gets you to take you to the ground, you want to be able to grapple. That makes you a complete fighter, you know?
Brother Muhammad, I know you got some questions for the OG.
You know, when Brother Assalamu alaikum, Brother Shameek.
Salam, brother.
When Brother Shameek used to give us courses, and I remember you used to tell me, Brother Kenneth, I'm going to teach you basics, and that's all you need. Throat,
I always told you, I said basics will take you home.
Right, and I'm grateful for that. And every time before we used to do security, he'd always pull me to the side and said, Brother Kenneth, do this, do that. He put that pain on you, brother. And so I'm grateful for that, but it's one thing you always used to tell me that stood out for me. It was something that Bruce Lee said. He said, learn one thing how many times? What Bruce Lee used to say?
Bruce Lee said, learn one thing and learn it good. Try to learn 1,000 techniques, you know what I mean? Because 1,000 techniques, you know, like, this is the reality I tell people all the time. There's only one way to throw a jab. There's only one way to throw a hook. There's only one way to throw an uppercut. There's only one way to throw a roundhouse kick. There's only one way to throw a front kick. There's only one way to throw a Muay Thai style round kick. So once you know how to deal with all those kicks, all those other things is nice that you can show people. But if you're good at knowing how to defend yourself against all those, you know what I mean? In a self-defense situation, you're going to come on top 90% of the time, you know? Because always got to remember this, when a man attacks you, he already thinks that he's better than you. That's why he wouldn't attack you. You understand what I'm saying? He always thinks you're weak. So if you can apply the basics to him, mostly 90% of the time you're going to be the victor. You know, you have to understand when you're dealing with evil, a good man who is skilled at violence, the only remedy against evil men are good men who are skilled at violence. You understand? So if you go run up against a person who's violent, you got to be more violent and be more skilled at violence than he is. You know? So that's what I tell people all the time. The only remedy against evil men is good men who are skilled at violence. So you have your skill of violence has to be on a whole nother level when you deal with somebody like that. I don't worry about how many years a nigga did in jail or somebody did in jail. I don't worry how many cats, you know, ain't killed, you know, that don't matter to me. I know when I run up against you, when you run up against me, I'm going to do what I have to do to go home and visit my wife and my children, you know?
Yes,
and
sir.
so I'll take my violence above your violence. You know what I mean? And that's when it all boils down to, that's what you have to do. Take your violence to that other level where you can walk away and you go home. You know what I mean?
By any means necessary.
Yeah, yeah. I don't care if it deals with a knife, if it deals with a gun, whatever. If you're going to do violence, if you're going to come and bring violence against me, I'm going to try to bring my violence on another level that you ain't willing to deal with, or you're not prepared to deal with. Because when I unleash it, there's going to be nothing left, but your life is going to be gone, you know? And so that's just one of my philosophies. You know?
But you're such a humble brother, man. Where does that humility come from?
Well, humility comes from knowing that Dr. Powell said martial art is a strong man's way of peace, you know? And it's a strong man's way of peace because when you know that you can hurt somebody, it gives you a humbleness. And you also know that just like you learned, somebody else learned. Somebody taught me, before my brother got his black belt, There was other black belts around him. There was the guy who taught him was a black belt. That goes with all my brothers. And that goes with everybody who ever taught me. There was somebody above them that had a black belt before they got that black belt. You understand what I'm saying? So once you start to train, you start to realize, damn, I ain't the only bad motherfucker in this world. There's some dangerous cats out here. And so that alone should make you realize, okay, let me stop running around thinking. Like I had to tell a dude one time in Brooklyn one time, you know, he's talking about, we got a little confirmation, a little dispute over. He cut me off, and I cut him out, and I just waved at him. So he going to cut in front of me, roll his window. And I said, "Yo, man, I got, man, don't make me have to go home and get my 9." I said, "Yo, let me ask you a question, my man." I said, when they made that 9, I said, when you got that 9, did they stop making the 9 millimeters for everybody else? He said, "What you mean?" I said, "Was that 9 millimeter? Was that the only 9 millimeter they made? Was one for you?" The same thing with fighting skills. Are you the only one with fighting skills? Are you the only one with a gun? Or do they stop making a gun and say, "Yo, this gun is only for you. Nobody else can have one."
Right.
You know what I mean? And that alone is a humbling thing to know, man, just like he got a gun, I can have a gun, or vice versa. It's like he got skills, just like I have skills, other people could have trained, and you don't know who did that. So always walk, you know, it says, what is a martial art? Martial art is one who's gentle in life and ferocious in combat. So you want to be gentle in life and ferocious in combat. Ferocious when you push to that point, you know, and that's just my belief and my philosophy. That's what I try to live by.
Well, Muhammad, you were about to ask him a question before you guys he was breaking that down.
Yeah, he often used to tell me, Brother Kenneth, the best form of martial artist is to be able to walk away. If you can walk away and not fight, that's the greatest form of martial arts.
Exactly.
To be able to walk away.
Yep. To win 100 battles is not the highest skill. You know?
So I was telling him, we was in the clubs one time, man, he used to train us down at the mosque. It's like a 12-week course. And I happened to, remember I told you we was down there for 4 years. We only got in 2 fights. And I guess that's the only one time I got to use whatever he taught me that time. Yeah, you remember that, Brother Shameek?
Yep. The saying that goes, to win 100 battles 100 times is not the highest skill. To win a battle without fighting is the highest skill. So, yeah, you could have, you know, the wisest martial artist is the one who doesn't fight. You know? Right. And that's the most skilled because, you know, he has the skill to talk you out of a fight. So he don't have to kill you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Wow.
I don't know if I can bring this up, but years ago I came across the picture. I don't know if it was on the internet or you had it. I had a picture. It was you and the Honorable Minster Louis Farrakhan.
Yeah.
Could you explain your relationship to him with security, or would you mind getting into that?
Yeah. You know, we used to do security. You know, that's the brother we did security, but I don't know which picture you had because, you know, as an FOI, I was a captain. So in Winston, so, you know, my relationship with the minister is because we love him. We'll give my life for him, you know.
Yes, sir.
And then I have several pictures I had with the minister. Then the one where we was at the national training.
Yes, it was you, Doc, the minister, and his son. Yeah, I believe that was the picture.
Yeah, it could have been that. Like I said, I have several pictures with him. And that was at our national training seminar, you know. And because Grandmaster Anthony Muhammad, he would put on these seminars, you know, and all the brothers in the nation would come in and train, you know. You know, because one thing about the nation, you know, I came with my uncle back in the early 60s and stuff like that when Malcolm X and them was around. You know, they were very serious about training, you know what I mean? And so a lot of FOI are skilled in martial arts, a lot of the old timers, you know, and they're very skilled and they're very serious about the martial arts. And so the minister love martial arts and boxing. I know you don't see him in the boxing matches. Normally see him. You look closely, the major boxing matches. The minister's always there, you know,
right?
Because he loves boxing so much. Yeah.
Savior's Day just passed in Chicago, I believe, a few days ago. I think Terrence Muhammad was up there. Yes, okay. Yeah. I was interested because I know personally. I say this with humility. I personally know how dangerous you are. And to be with such a beautiful brother such as him, to be in his close circle, that says a lot about your character and your ability to keep people off of him. I'm sure you can go into stories about, you know, your time with him. Brother Muhammad, what would you say if I can ask you, Brother Muhammad, what one sentence or what one word would describe our brother Shameek?
Brother Shameek is a very, very it's a person who thinks before he acts. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us to think 5 seconds before you speak. And so he really, really puts that not only into action, that's the epitome of him. That's actually who he is. That's his. Brother Shameek doesn't let a lot of people get around him. And so if you're around him, he trusts you and he know that he can depend on you, you know. But if he don't mess with a lot of people. He might call you or something like that, but he's not going to depend on a lot of people. He knows if it comes down to it, I put my life on the line for him. Right. See, it's a whole lot of people that mess with you.
Right.
But how many of them will put their life on the line for you?
Very few. Hey, listen, first of all, I want to thank you, brothers, for coming to my wedding. I know y'all were a few minutes late, but listen, when y'all showed up with the fedora hats, my brothers from the nation showed up, the sisters, y'all were sharp, people were checking y'all, y'all looked good, and then Jeffrey Osborne, the song came on. What a beautiful day, man. Thank y'all for coming to my wedding. One of the brothers that was in the groomsmen, he's like, he was telling my brothers and them, because my brothers were fighters. I know you probably can't believe it. If you look at the groomsmen, you'll see a real big heavyset guy. That was Jimmy. He was tough back then. Then the smallest guy, that was my brother Braden. He was a terror, a little pit bull. You couldn't tell. But anyways, one of the brothers, Israel, he saw y'all. He's like, those brothers are dangerous. He told the groomsmen that. So I thought, first of all, Shameek, I consider you a brother. I love you, man. Brother. I will say the few times that we got to do security under you in Greensboro, at one time I had my own security team in Greensboro, and working with you was just an honor, privilege, the way you spoke to people. Your reputation preceded you. I wish the brother would I got a special guest that's supposed to be showing up. I'm hoping if I can get him to click on, because, oh, my God, he has some funny stories, man, some humility about you. So what's going on now? Give me this. Okay, New York, you traveled all over. What was the Hajj, the travel? What made your travels and journeys? What brought you to North Carolina?
Well, to be honest with you, bro, I came down here on hustling tip. Me and my mom.
Okay.
You know, I'm just tell you, we came down. I had a mob called the Leave Alone Cartel. You know, and so we came down here. And we came down to Durham in like the mid 80s. Like me and my brother bought like 30 brothers down. Me and my brother Delson and stuff.
In Bull City?
In Bull City, yeah. We opened, be honest with you, bro, we opened Durham up. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
When we got down, it was a nice place, man. But that's what brought us down there. And from down there, you know, the guys that I bought down, they started having babies from girls and chicks like that. And that's really how I wound up getting to North Carolina. And then I wound up meeting my ex. I was running back and forth. I met her down in, I was in Virginia. I was doing stuff in Durham, Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia, and DC. You know what I mean? So I was in all three of those places, man. You know what I mean? And during that time, and I wound up meeting my ex and stuff, and she got in a little accident. And so she was ready to go do her internship up in Texas. But I was running back and forth here. So during that time, I got a place down here. So she decided to come down this end too. So I decided to stay down here now while I'm having children down here. So that's what actually made me plant my roots here, you know?
Yeah, babies will do that to you, won't they?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's actually what got us down here, brother, you know? And it's so funny, brother, because I got his brothers, like I told you, my man, Baby J just came home. We've been on 5 years. And what I told you, did 21 years for killing the cop. And some of my other man did 27 years, 28 yeys. You know, a lot of my cats just coming home. I don't know if you ever heard the group Changing Faces. Remember the second group Changing Faces?
R&B?
R&B, yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you look on the back of our album, they make a dedication to Brother Tomel. Well, that's one of my little mans. He wound up doing some time and stuff like that. Everybody just coming home and stuff, and you know, so it's a good thing. Everybody we've been calling, we've been meeting up and stuff, and the last 6-7 years, man. But that's actually what got me down here. And then when I got there, I decided to having kids and stuff like that. My wife was like, "Yo, you gotta calm it down, man." So women don't do that, bro.
Hey, listen.
Yes, sir.
So when I first met you, you had young babies.
Yeah.
You had from like infant to teenagers.
Right. And Shaquille and all of them is college grads now, man, living their lives.
And they all look just like you. So you remember my daughters when they were babies, right?
Yeah, I remember. Yes, sir.
Man, they saw you. That's uncle.
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all coming to me for my wedding. That was a beautiful day to have y'all there.
Yeah.
So you're here in North Carolina. You opened up Durham. What's the transition to Greensboro or the mosque in Winston? How'd that come about?
Well, my ex had went up to Texas. She was doing an internship up there. And so I was still doing my little dirt and stuff. So then she decided, you in Durham, I want to come down there with you. I mean, in North Carolina, like, you ain't coming to Durham. I had so much dirt down there. I said, so what we going to do? We're going to go to Greensboro. So that's actually how I got to Greensboro. I wanted to get an apartment down here. And then actually we got it in Winston first. Then from there we moved to Greensboro. And that's how it's been, And we got a house, man, and from that moment on,
So I remember going to Winston-Salem. Me, Imam Khalid, and Brother Hanif, may he rest in peace. Actually, what? Oh man, I want to ask you about him in a little bit.
Let me tell you something, man. I spoke with Doc when I went to stay with him in Vermont. I went to stay with Doc.
Come on, bring it in. I got to hear this about Hanif. Yeah.
When I went to stay with Dr. Powell in Vermont, right?
Man.
Let me tell you what the trip that was. Dr. Powell, I told him, I said, yo, man, I was going to drive up or rent a car. I said, nah, Doc, I'm going to take a bus up there. So my students, they all put the money together for me to take a bus. And so I told my wife, I said, listen, I'm going to go up there. I'm going to stay with them about 2 weeks. She said, all right, cool. But I took a bus up. It took me, 21 hours from Greensboro? I think it was 21 hours. When I got off the bus, bro, I mean, it was the middle of the woods. If Dr. Powell didn't pick me up, I would have probably got ate by wolves or wild dogs or something like that. That's how up in the mountains it was, bro. There's no joke.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't have lived if he didn't come and pick me up.
Wow.
Then he came and got me, and so I stayed with him for I think it was 2 weeks. I stayed with him, and but while I was up there, I said, yeah, I was a brother named Hanif. He said, Hanif, where you know Hanif from? So I told him, he said, that was a dangerous brother, man. That brother was a killer, man. He kept saying, he said, that brother was a killer.
Can I say this? Okay, so I'm at the mosque in Winston-Salem doing security for Imam Khalid, and I was just coming straight home from prison. I thought I was a fighter. Yeah. I thank God I didn't go against people like you or Hanif in the streets, right? Yeah. So Hanif come back into town. He's like, who's this white brother that's supposed to be nice with his hands? So I see the older brother. So we just clicked. We used to go sell oils and incense in Greensboro. And we see a lot of brothers. Listen, we see a lot of brothers from the nation, and they were wanting you two to meet because they knew you guys would love each other. So when we introduced you, man, it was an honor. Hanif, I'm going to keep it short. There's some things I cannot say. But when I tell you that brother was the real deal.
Yes,
and he was so humble, man. He was so humble. Mm-hmm. And I used to wonder at the time I had the black hair and the hair. I thought I was sexy to the women, right? Hanif had the white, like your color beard right there. The white man, and the young girls be like, yo, what's up with your old partner? Yeah. And the next day he married his sister. They'd be Muslim. We used to be like, what? Yeah, he had game. May he rest in peace. It was an honor to be around him. The few things that he showed me, brother, you're trained in it. But his hands, most people do the closed hand or open hand. He would hit some of us in the ribs with the fingers. Yeah. Bang, bang. And I'm like, wow. So, but his favorite student was Brother Kareem, who I introduced you to.
Yeah.
And Kareem fell in love with you. And when Doc came down to Winston, Doc was really interested in Kareem because he was in the ballet and all that. But man, I wish we can just do a movie and change the names because the story of Hanif, yours as well. So the brothers of the nation were like, you got to meet Shameek. So look how God is, man. We all introduced each other. And he always talked about you, man. Hanif loved you, man. It was a beautiful.
Dr. Paul gave you some. He said, "Yo, man, that's a dangerous brother, man." He said so. He said, "Yes, that's a dangerous brother." Like Dr. Paul said.
Yeah. He really was. And you know what's so crazy, right? I had a Muslim brother pull me aside. I ain't gonna say his name. He was a Jersey cat. He was known to fighting. He said to me, "Khalil, do you know who you're with?" I said, "Of course I do. He's a changed man." But you could not forget, because he was so humble, right?
Right.
That sometimes, so one of the brothers used to joke, because he'd train us in classes, right? And one of the brothers say, "I'm gonna hit you and run because your old knees," right? And Hanif said, "Oh, I'll eventually get you," right? So yeah, man, if the walls could talk, if the flies on the wall could talk, I love that brother. I pray that he has. I pray that he has the highest place in paradise. He was kind to me, my children. When I first met him, and he'd be like, "Khalil, I need you to pick me up at 2 a.m. at such and such," before cell phones. I'm like, "Yo, is my number up? Is somebody got the hit on me?" I said, "Brother, let me just meet you at daytime after Fajr." "No, I need you to pick me up now." I'm like, "Yo, is my number up?" Yeah, I love that brother, man.
You know, funny thing about it, I was in Harlem one time. A man, Prince, right? He was in a barber shop. He was talking to a brother. I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, well, I'm down in North Carolina." He said, "Yo, how far are you from what's up?" I had a boy down there named Hanif, man. I said, "Hanif," I started describing. He said, "Yeah." He showed me a picture of him. I'm like, "Where?" He said, "Yo, man." He said, "That was a killing dude, man. That was a deadly dude, man." You know what I'm saying? God rest his soul.
Yeah, he really was. You and him, man, remind me so much of each other. You're younger than him, but it's just so to digress on that. I wanted to, since we brought up Hanif and Doc Powell, both you brothers being black brothers in America, how much influence or how great are black martial artists, and why do black artists or black martial artists excel almost to a point that most Asians or a lot of white fighters don't? Maybe Thomas Getland might be a rare. But what would you think? Why do you think so many? Well, let me rephrase that question. Why do you think so many Muslim brothers, black Muslim brothers, excelled in martial arts? Let me ask that question that way.
Well, I want to say just black Muslims. I would say because of the experience that we live in. I remember Professor Wally Jay said. I said Professor Wally Jay said this one time. Shihan Nakamura said this one time. Who else said it? Both of them said this, coming about both of their mouth. Remember, Professor Wally Jay said one time I came to the door. He said, "One thing I say about African Americans, they can come in the day. I can show them a technique. I don't see them another 15, 20 years. I come back, they'll know that same technique like I showed it to them."
Wow.
I heard Shihan Nakamura say that one time too. He said in front of the class, "I don't know what it is about black people." He said, "But you can show them a technique." He said, "Most black people have financial problems. So you'll show them a technique, and let's say they can't get here. They can't get here for another 3-4 months. When they come back, they are still proficient with the technique I showed them."
Wow.
They don't know nothing else. They'll know that. And I told them, I said, that's because I told other people, I said, that's because we have to use our stuff in the streets. It's a reality. Like anytime I train, I always said to myself, and I might walk out today and I have to use what I'm sorry, camera.
Man, we just hey, listen. You can let that camera shake. This is just an honor, brother. We good. We thank
I told him, I said, because when we walk out of the dojo, we can walk down the street and get in a fight. You know what I mean? When we walk out from training, we can be able to train and get in a fight because of the atmosphere we live in. So we always trained. Everything we did, we had to make it be real. It was like I would look at, because I had black belts in so many different styles, and because I trained in so many different styles, I never was arrogant. When I went and trained under another master, sometimes I could have been more proficient than that master. But I learned at a very young age, knowledge is infinite, and everybody got something to teach you.
Right.
So every time I walked in any school, I always empty my cup and learned what they had to offer. You know what I mean? And so because I always knew something they're gonna give me, I'm gonna add to my repertoire. And Parker had a saying. He said, "Don't be like the frog in the bottom of the well, looking through that small little hole up in the sky, thinking that little round circle you see is all there is to heaven." You know what I mean?
Wow.
And that's how life is. You can't think that you know it all, because as soon as you think you know it all, you're missing so much. There's so much knowledge out here, so many different ways, so many different approaches to do things that is just unreal. So I always keep my cup empty.
With the advent the last 20 years, or let's just say the last 10 years, the UFC taking off, right? There's this kind of online debate. And I want to give a shout out to my little brother. His name is Will Getlin. He's got a podcast called the Fight Gods podcast, right? If y'all check them out, they talk about fighting and martial arts and cage fighting. Matter of fact, I don't know if you're familiar with Thomas Getlin. He's a white brother that's trained with a lot of
Thomas Getlin,
yeah. Abdulaziz, your brother had him on there recently on his podcast.
Yeah. One of Moses Powell students.
Yeah. And Anthony Muhammad had him on his. Him and Anthony are real close. They,
Thomas Getlin. I know you got a school in Avenue of America. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's what I thought was fascinating when he and I spoke. We're supposed to interview him as well. He is a staunch friend and brother of the Honorable Minster Louis Farrakhan. On my page, when they banned Farrakhan, you probably remember, Brother Muhammad, I said, I stand with Farrakhan. And Thomas Getlin got on there, and he's an older white gentleman, and he broke down that the best person he's ever met in his life. He said, Khalil, I tell you not, the most spiritual, most humble, divine person I met was the Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's what he said. Yeah. So the minister would fly him in, and this is how humble the minister is, right? He'd fly different instructors in and let him show the brothers and the sisters, right? And Thomas Getlin, his son Nico just won his first cage match, second fight. So, man, we're all connected, like 6 degrees of separation. So can I ask you something? How dangerous is Azar Muhammad?
Well, he can handle his business, brother.
He can handle his business.
Yeah. Because Azar is like, he's one of the people that you show him something, he practices and perfects it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't know if you remember, I put a tape out, Rape Out.
Brother, yes. I remember,
I put out like, I don't remember when, it was like probably 90s or something like that.
Yeah.
Like probably 1990. But it had the grappling techniques you see people doing now.
Right.
You remember? And he said to him and his wife practice it. They learned it, and so you have to take what you know and apply it and practice. Repetition is the motherhood of skill, and if you don't practice, it's like a waste of time, And so, but a person who practices that and then you could apply it because like I said, repetition is the motherhood of skill. So he's highly skilled.
What would you hope would be your legacy, not just martial arts? We all have that time where we have to leave this earth or return back to the dust. And I know you're still young, but what would you hope would be your legacy or the greatest thing that people would remember about you, brother?
I was a real brother. You know what I mean? That when you call me, I'm there. I ain't giving you no excuses. I ain't into that. You call me, like I told you, my man called me. My man Bakim called me. Told you 2 broken legs, broken hip, 2 broken arms, broken ribs, couldn't walk. Called me. And we ain't spent time. We probably last time I spent time about 8 or 9 years ago. He called me and said, yo, man, I got a problem. Brother owed me, because I got these broken legs, broken hip. Brother owed me 3 months rent, told me, fuck me, because I can't walk. And then you didn't have to say no more. I said, all right, say no more. He knew I was going to be there. And I came and showed up.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what it is. I don't know too many people that when you call your brother, you expect your brother, all right, man, I'm gonna make it happen. And everybody who know me know that's the reality of me. You call me, it's a done deal. I ain't gonna give you no excuses. It's a done deal. I'm there. You know what I mean? That's why I remember being Brother Kenneth, like we are. I call our brother, he's there. You know what I mean? It ain't too many people like that in this world. Everybody who know me, they'll say that about Shameek. Yo, you call our brother, he gonna be there. He gonna have your back.
You two brothers have been rocking since Alexander Devereaux, right? And before, man. Listen, man, let me just tell you what I saw, okay, right? So I heard about you, right? And I'm at the mosque, but I still got 1 foot in the streets. I like the women. I'm kind of whorish. I don't smoke or drink. I like to fight. Me, Shakim, and Jami are hanging out. And I see you brothers from the nation in the suits at Alexander Devereaux. You brothers were always kind to me. I loved you brothers.
Yeah.
And I remember meeting Brother Earl, right?
Big order. God rest his soul.
Man,
Yeah.
may God rest his soul. And
Yeah.
then what was an honor, man. I don't know what it was about you and I's heart and me and Brother Muhammad's heart. We all connected, right?
Yes, sir.
And you remember at one time we kind of joined a little security team for, I forget what club it is. It was your gig, but you brought us, bro. You put a lot of money in my pocket. You put me on some good gigs.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. Big Darryl called me earlier today. You remember Big Darryl? Bodybuilding Darryl?
Doc.
Not Big Darryl. It's Darryl Jackson is the name. Last name.
I remember Doc, the young Doc from Greensboro that would come and train under you.
Yeah. Doc, okay. not him, but Darryl's a correction officer. He's going through some problem because somebody attacked him. And he's a correction officer, a CO. Somebody attacked him, and he broke the dude up. It's been in the news and everything. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so I was at work when I happened to read the news. They said a correction officer up on assault charges in Guilford County. I said, I hope it ain't Darryl. I taught Darryl, you know what I'm saying? Me and Jay Bell. And so I said, I read on down, it was him. When I got home, I called him and stuff. He was like, yo, bro, Shameek, man. He said, you reached out to me as soon as, I'm going through hell. I can't eat, man. They cut my check off and all this, and they laid me off, and he said, they ain't give me no protection. I have to get my own lawyer and all that. And so he called me today. He said, "Oh man, you always put bread in my pocket, man. You got anything going on?" I said, "Yo, not right now, brother." He said, "Man, but one thing I always noticed about you, man, when I needed, man, you was always a brother I can call, man." He said, "Thank you, man, because you called out when my spirit was down so bad." He said, "You picked up the phone. You didn't have to even do that." I told his daughter, you know what I mean? He was like, "Yo," he said, "You just picked the phone and was like, yo, man." I said, "Yo, I ain't heard from Brother Shameek in years, but he called me when he knew I was in trouble." I said, "Yo, bro," I said, what is a brother, man? So don't make any sense to say you got a brother and he ain't your brother when it's times of need. You know what I mean? When you got it, you don't need to see me.
Right.
When you're times of need, that's when somebody should be picking up the phone. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it was an honor, man. Believe it or not, we had a little run together. I remember we first started at the club. It was your gig. You said, "Khalil, bring you and some of the Muslim brothers." And
yeah,
you remember Big Malik that used to be with me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With all the jewelry.
Yeah.
I love that brother, man.
Yes,
yeah, he was a great boxer. But I remember then you had us at some of these mansions doing security for celebrities. Yep. And I remember, listen, man, I thought I was tough. I don't even know if I could really fight, to be honest, but it was crazy. You were with the head guy. I was with the second head guy. And here I was 170. White guy walking around an all-black club.
Yeah.
And people like, yo, if he's with Shameek, he must be dangerous. Same thing with Hanif and Kareem, right?
Yeah.
A lot of dudes left me alone in Winston because I was with Hanif. I will tell you a story, may he rest in peace. There was a gangster in Winston, and he and I had a disagreement. One day he rolled up with me, but 8 of his homeboys, one of his homeboys that was with him was a mutual friend. He's like, nah, Khalil ain't into that, what you talking about. So somebody got him confused. He said, no big deal. I shared it with Hanif. And me and the guy ended it. It was already over. One day we're driving down the north side of Winston.
Yeah.
And I see the brother. And I say to Hanif, not like, hey, daddy, help me. None of that. It was like, oh, me and his brother. He said, pull the car over. I said, no, brother, it's dead. It's already, we squashed it. And this kid is in the streets heavy, right? And we at the mosque, right? So the kid walked into the pool hall at the time, right on the north side of Winston, right?
Yeah.
So Hanif goes in there, right? And I'm like, man, I'm embarrassed. This is like your big brother, your daddy going to fight your battle for you, right? So he come out, he says, you'll never have a problem with him. He was in about 5 minutes. I said, brother, that's embarrassing. He said, Khalil, you're my Muslim brother. I got you. So we pull off. Days go by. I remember a week. Every time I'd see this gangster, how you doing, brother? How you doing? And I was like, man, see, they knew because I'm not from Winston-Salem.
Right.
So if you would ask the brother Mikel Muhammad, that was the head minister of the Nation of Islam, he would tell you, oh, Imam Khalid Griggs and the hit squad, Kareem, Hanif, and those brothers were dangerous, right?
Yeah.
So here I come home from prison. I don't know why I decided Winston-Salem, probably because behind Imam, and these brothers are well respected. Yeah. So that was crazy. It's funny how reputation precedes you, man.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, we had some good times, bro. Man, I love you, man. I'm proud of you, brothers, man.
Love you too, my brother.
Muhammad, let me shut up and let you throw what you do best, man. You're a master interviewer, brother.
No, man, I've just sitting back. Sometimes it's good to listen. That's why you got two ears and one mouth, man. You sitting back and listening sometimes is to my brother right here, to my captain, to my friend. I just want you to let all the viewers know that we don't hate white people. You see that man over there? He white.
Right.
White as snow, talking about you.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's a stigmatism that we get, is that we hate white people.
Exactly. That's my brother right there. Khalil's my brother. Been my brother. I love him.
I love you guys too. Listen, I've always been close. In incarceration, I used to study with the 5%ers, the brothers from the nation, and they're always kind to me. So when I came across the concept of the white man as a devil, I didn't understand it. So I looked at things from a debate standpoint, right? Any of us could be black devils. There's black devils. There's the four devils, you know. So what happens is, I think, and I've said this before, and my wife don't really like me to get into this, I think one of the best things that ever happened in America was the concept that the white man is the devil. It's the first time the white man in America had to look at himself and say, oh, shit, he's telling the truth. Oh, if he's not telling the truth, let me try to wrestle again. Let me study. And he had to start examining himself.
Oh, yeah.
And so... And then I was like, wait, the white man's the devil. Then I seen the pictures of Master Farad Muhammad, and I'm like, wait, he's pale like me. Then I started studying, and I said, when I was in prison, the Honorable Minster Farrakhan was in Winston-Salem State University, and I was listening to his speech. It was in 1992, and I was crying tears because I felt at the time that I had the Holy Spirit from him. 1995, you had the Million Man March. Me and the Muslim brothers that were at the jail, Cherry Street, I fasted in honor of my black brothers. Now, as being a part of the human family, if the roles were reversed, if black brothers, let's just say blacks were in the position of whites were and vice versa, I would tell my brothers, let's fight these motherfuckers, man.
Yeah.
Because let's fight them until they prove... Like, you know, that's how I'm built, right? And I don't think I'm tough. So I've always, you said it, Muhammad. You asked me, why have you always been around black people? Muhammad said, I thought you were faking. He said, I thought you were faking. And of course, I have white ancestors. But one of my professors says, Dr. Hawk out of Winston-Salem, he said, Winston State University, he says, I don't think you're white, brother. I think you're Mongolian. You have a big head and you have a warrior spirit. He said you might be related to Genghis Khan and them. But so, yeah, I've always loved the brothers in the nation. When my first introduction to Islam, I thought that I hate to say orthodox, because ain't nothing orthodox about how I was. I hate the Sunni Muslims. I don't even like titles, right? But we were taught to, those brothers aren't real Muslims. These brothers ain't real Muslims, the Shiites, all this stuff. And then I started listening to Minister Farrakhan. My two favorite teachers have been Imam Khalid Griggs out of Winston and the Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I'm not even a member of the Nation of Islam. Let me tell you, I'm sorry I get so sidetracked. Greensboro, North Carolina, the Willow Baptist Church, you were doing security. The Honorable Minster Farrakhan came and spoke at that church. A guest of his was Imam Khalid Griggs. He had a whole bunch of Christians. And guess who was doing security for Imam Khalid? Hanif and myself.
Mm-hmm.
We get in the building. We go out of respect. You brothers, we still did the search.
Right.
But out of respect, when the minister and the imam saw us, they've been friends for years. He invited them up. The brothers led us through one circle, and then two circles surrounded us.
Right.
And Hanif said to me, you see how thorough these brothers are? That's what Hanif said. But Hanif, every great fighter has a touch of arrogance. Right. You know, because you have to be like, you know, so Hanif, even though we were at peace with our brothers from the nation, Hanif's fingers went out like this, like Wolverine. Right. Like he was always ready for combat, but the love was there. And I realized at the time, I said, damn, some of these brothers are big. Like the minister's son and some of the head brothers. I'm like, these brothers are tall. I'm not no short man, right? But it's always been love. Man, listen, Minister Mikhail Muhammad used to say, Assalamu alaikum, black man. So my connection and affinity towards black people wasn't it was authentic. It wasn't like, oh, I want to be down with black people and hate my own people. I never hated my own people, but I'm a truth seeker. So if the roles reversed, and then my mother was teaching me something in honor of her, I'm getting side. This is about you. My mother was teaching me something that I didn't know how to quantify or qualify at the time. I didn't know why she would put me around black churches and teach me things. You know what I mean? So that was all for a reason. And my brother Yusuf, may he rest in peace. Brother Yusuf was one of our Moorish brothers. He was Sunni Muslim, became a Moor. He passed away recently. He told me, he said, Brother Khalil, you need to check your DNA. You're pale, but he used to mess with me. He said, you need to check your DNA. But so what the brother said, the nation has never hated on me. I've never even seen the Nation of Islam ever hurt a white person, to be honest.
Yeah. Only time we only fight with those who fight with us, bro. You know?
Right. So that was long-winded.
You have to understand that when Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the white man was the devil, you look up the word "the," he's the master of what he do. The thief. Man. And so he had to get your attention. He was a master psychologist, brother. So, but when he got me in the class, guess what he told me?
What's that?
You made it. So you a black devil. So the greatest devil is the black devil, but he had to get me in the class. You know, so it's like psychology. You know, oh yeah, hell yeah, the white man is devil and the devil. There's no question about that. And I told you that I thought you were faking it for real.
Right.
And so I'm a type of person, I'm gonna speak my mind, brother, regardless.
Right.
But you have to be a special person to come out your mouth and say, Minister Honorable Louis Farrakhan is your mentor and somebody that you admire.
I love the brother. Yeah.
You catch hell for that.
Hey, listen, but I don't care. I'm like you, right? So check this out. My biggest, I spoke to Terrence Muhammad about a year and a half ago. I said, brother, I'm ready to interview the minister. And he sent me okay, I got you. I love you. I feel you. I said, but let me step my game up first, right? And then I watched the Minister Farrakhan. Okay, of course, all the celebrity news channels interview him, everybody interviews, but he's humble. I'll see Arab brothers who I don't even know or white brothers interviewing him. I saw the Alex Jones interviewing him, and Alex Jones pretty much hated him. But when he left the interview, he was in awe. He says, man, I've never been in awe. So the man is got the voice of God right now. So I say to people, we forget, right, that when you get 2 million black people in one area, Washington, D.C. in 1995, by his call and his call alone, right?
Yeah.
That's bigger than, I know some brothers can get mad and I don't care. That's bigger than what Moses ever gathered, what Jesus ever gathered, what Muhammad ever gathered. So, brothers, we live in a time that God, the Most High Allah, had a moment. Listen, brother, I was watching from TV. I don't know how we got it on, the chaplain got it. I was watching some of the news reports, and they kept trying to downplay it. There might be 1 million people, but there was no violence, man. No violence. So that brings me to tears, man. And listen, I'm telling you guys, if you brothers can help me, next 3 months, I want to interview the Honorable Louis Minister Farrakhan. I want to, brother. I want to. That would be, listen, I love all the other brothers, man. I love Rizza Islam, Dr. Umar. And, I told my wife one day, I said, I wonder why my heroes have been pro-black heroes, and I'll tell you exactly why, right? I'm for a liberation of people, right? With the Irish people. Some of my heroes are Irish people, right? One of my biggest heroes was Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King, but Martin Luther. The Catholics were dominating people. And he said, wait, it shouldn't be about paying money. It should be about a personal relationship with God. So we're going to protest the church. They become the Protestants, right? And this was a white brother, John Brown.
Yeah.
There's no way John Brown was the devil.
Yeah.
He was a godly man. Now, his vessel was Christianity. Man, that's my hero, John Brown, man.
John Brown was one who mastered the devil in himself.
Because we all got it, don't we?
Yeah, he mastered the devil within himself.
God, go ahead, drop it, brother. Give it to him.
Yeah, so the most honorable Elijah Muhammad was a master teacher. And he said something out of his mouth. And he doesn't say it to ridicule you or shame you. He says it to tell you the truth, to get you in touch with yourself. But John Brown was a devil, but he mastered the devil in himself. just like most black people today. We are the righteous, but we've been so messed up. The hell, we worse than the Caucasian.
Wow. Shameek, you care to add on something like that with the, go ahead, Sharp Brothers.
I got to bear witness, man. You know what I mean? We got to get that mindset out. That's why we have these problems we have right now.
Explain to people that may not know when you guys address each other, peace, God. I know that's, or Salaam Alaikum, God,
yeah.
Can you elaborate to those that are watching that may think, how do they say they're Muslim, but they're really associating partners with Allah? That shirk is unforgivable or not even just the Muslim community, not non-Muslims or people around the world. What does it mean when you say peace, God, to each other?
Well, peace is the absence of all confusion. First of all, so when you come up, it's the same thing as saying salam. Salam means peace, and then to say God, you're talking to the God. See, God is a spirit. A spirit can't be destroyed. Like water. Water is a spirit. It can be turned into liquid, solids. It can turn into ice, or it could go evaporate, but it comes back to an original form. And God is nothing but a spirit, So the spirit within the man that we're talking to. So we try to attract the spirit of the man that we give peace to. Trying to bring the peace of God out of him.
Wow. Thank you for that. Yes.
Hey, my brothers.
Yeah.
I want to end this conversation. I got to roll. All right.
Hey, listen, it's been an honor, man. I hope we didn't keep too much of your time. When the time is right, we'll do the sit down in the studio interview. I just want to go out saying, Brother Shameek, is there anything you want to say before you air out?
I want to say, brother, being a brother is the most important thing in life. Knowing that you call your brother and your brother's there. So is anything you can remember me by, you always say that I'm your brother.
We love you, That's brother. It. We're gonna let you sign out. Then I'm gonna give some commentary with Brother Azar Muhammad. We love you, brother. You should just be able to click your link out and sign out.
All right, thank you, my brothers. Peace, my brothers.
Love you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Wow, Azar Muhammad, man. We got an hour and 7 minutes with the brother that most people don't even know how to reach him, man. Do we just
they should find out if they want to learn how to fight. They should contact that brother.
Man.
That brother's a masterful fighter, bro. Taught me a lot. I would have never got out of some of the stuff I did if he hadn't taught me.
So let me ask you, from where he's sitting, it's hard for people to tell. I mean, of course, you can't look at a man and see how dangerous he is, but those wrist grabs, right? Those wrist locks.
Very painful.
Man, instantly, right?
Very painful. That lock, that behind the lock, that when you take it, you know how you grab them, you put your hand out and I twist it and pull myself back in and put it over my shoulder.
Ooh, man.
That's my favorite move.
I should have pulled up one of his videos while we were on here. Yeah, that'd be great. I might add that in the editing. Yeah,
man. It's one thing to teach a man how to fight, but you can teach me how to fight. But when it's time to fight, am I going to fight? That's another thing.
Right.
See, you forget everything. There's a lot of people that know how to go into the dojo, but hell, when it's time for you to fight, what you going to do?
Right. Wow. Brother, I appreciate you giving your time to this subject, man. I appreciate having you on here. Man, I love what we do now, but I love just the conversation, the freestyle, and like you say, the authenticity. Let me try.
That's when you go into the studio, brother, and you do your thing and you chop it up, and then you come out and you get what you say is the best part, and that's like your promo, and that's what makes people jump to you. You foaming at the mouth, brother. That's
foaming at the mouth. I love
that's you. Foaming at the mouth, man. That's some hellacious stuff, brother. You got to go back and do what you did back then and make it in 2023. Brother, a man like you can get Cardi B on here. A man like you can go get all the people Vlad can get. Vlad don't have anything on you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
I'm just telling you the truth. If you didn't have it, brother, I wouldn't get up here and waste my time because I can't get none of this back.
Right, man. Time is precious. And I do appreciate you, man. I think you have the gift as well, brother. And I thank you for that. That's why I call you. I said, listen, bro, you got time to chop it up. And before you know it, we'll probably be flying around the world interviewing people. And this will be our livelihood, making movies and doing what we're called to do. I can't wait for us to produce your movie. Anything you want to say in closing?
What I would like to say is, I want people to remember that I'm not afraid to tell the truth, regardless of where I'm at or circumstances. And if by me telling you the truth, it's gonna break the friendship that I have with you, with the hell with your friendship. I don't want it, and I don't need it if I can't tell the truth. When if you can't tell me the truth about myself, stay the hell away from me.
Thank you for that advice. Well, ladies and gentlemen, man, what an honor. Co-guest, co-host, my brother Azar Muhammad, always shoot straight. Tonight we had Shameek Hargrove. I hope that you guys that will be watching this soon just understand who this gentleman is. Do your own research. You probably won't find you won't find him out there bragging about himself, but he's really a humble brother, a master teacher. He didn't get into it, but Moses Powell took a special liking to him because he was a very gifted student under Moses Powell. What an honor, man. I'm going to sign out. I love you, brother. We got some heavy hitters coming up soon, brother. We got some
You ever get in touch with Fleetwood yet?
I haven't heard from him. He's so busy. I'm waiting for him to call me back. He's a beautiful brother. I know he's busy. He's probably down there in Georgia having a great time. Hey, listen, brother, I'm going to sign this. I'm going to end the recording, but you and I will still be in the back studio.
All right, peace.